Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. There is no more important subject to talk about than peace. And where does that begin? Of course, it begins at home. So it's wonderful to join you today. I want to thank you for your paying attention to this subject. Attention is actually the purest form of love, and it's a really great thing to remember as parents, as community members, wherever our attention flows. That's where our energy goes. That's what we're loving at the moment. And yes, I have that little cell phone in the corner because it's a good reminder that we're living life, and that is not life on your phone, and that is not where you're going to be loving and supporting and guiding your kids and creating safer, more peaceful communities. So, I'm here today because of my son, Jesse. Jesse, who was murdered in his first grade classroom. Of course, so much of the violence, substance abuse, mental illness, other societal diseases are preventable. And I wanted to do just that. I wanted to address the root cause of the pain and suffering that one young man felt that led him to become a mass murderer. Of course, he wasn't born that way. And so I wanted to disrupt that cycle of violence and look at everything that was existing, maybe some things that weren't, including neuroscience and the latest science. Um, Sometimes it takes a tragic event to drop kick us out of our comfort zone. Nobody wants to leave our comfort zone. I certainly didn't. But always remember that pain gets our attention, but then it does move us through fear and into our growth zone. And that certainly happened to me, where I realized that no one was going to show me a roadmap of how to get from where I was after the tragedy, a bereaved parent, to joy, to peace and joy. That's really what I wanted. So I realized that I would create that roadmap myself. My choices in the moment could take me to wherever I wanted to go, and my life could look like whatever I wanted it to look like. And of course, I had a surviving 12-year-old son, and I realized in the moment I was his role model, that how I chose to thoughtfully respond to the tragedy, what I chose to focus on, what my actions were going to be, would shape and model how my son would move through not only this tragedy, but roadblocks and difficulties for the rest of his life. And that awareness helped me. And I think that awareness and reminding you can help you as well. I had a big decision. Was I going to be for something, or was I going to fight against something? There's so much research out there that shows that when we move our efforts, our focus, our attention towards something rather than fighting against something, there's more chance of success. And certainly we are stronger, healthier, and more capable individuals when we do this. So I chose to be for the most powerful unifying element in the universe. And I have to tell you, it wasn't my idea. It was my 6-year-old son's, Jesse's, idea. He wrote 3 words on our kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died: nurturing, healing, love. This is a spray painted chalkboard on the side of my oven. And if you look at that in the lower left hand corner, that sent a huge bolt of reality through me, this realization that that was the solution. That's the solution to peace. And this concept that we can choose it, all ages and stages, is absolutely incredible. And it's possible. Peace is possible everywhere. I took that, those 3 words, and Jesse's example of courage. He actually is known as a hero. He saved 9 of his classmates. He literally sacrificed his life to save 9 of his first grade classmates. And that, of course, is the same capacity for courage that we all have. Courage is like a muscle. We need to strengthen it and practice it. But that's the courage that we all have to choose our thoughtful response in any moment. And that is exactly what leads to peace. Then this I came up with this formula that is neuroscientifically accurate and designed to give us our personal power back, where we can make choices that benefit us and lead us towards a better future. And that is the definition of hope. So, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, and action, all leading towards choosing love. So important. You know, the world out there, if you're feeling stressed and like there's a lot going on, in the latest former US Surgeon General's report in the US called Parents Under Pressure, it found that 41% of parents are too stressed out to function each day. And that's a problem for our kids. So we need to manage our own anxiety and stress for sure. Of course, we also have an epidemic of loneliness going on around the world, as well as screens, which are pulling us away from each other. We're designed to look into one another's eyes. We have mirror neurons. And when we don't do that, we lose connection. Plus, of course, we have trauma that we carry around with us, which creates a mask, which also makes us not really feel seen and loved. So I will say I started this movement at Jesse's funeral when I got up to speak. And I said it was an angry thought that caused the tragedy. And thoughts are the root cause of suffering, right? These thoughts that we have control over, and we kind of forget that. So the amazing thing to me, and of course, I pictured this little boy having these angry thoughts that then moved into revenge, that then moved into violence. But the amazing thing was that a thought could be changed. So I asked everybody to start thinking about what they think about and to choose a loving thought over an angry thought. Remember, this was the congregation at Jesse's funeral. And they went out to the four corners of the world. And I started getting emails, calls, and texts about a week later saying that one simple act had completely changed their lives. And I knew that I was onto something. And so that is one of the foundational components that I think about and remember every single day, this act of self-awareness, thinking about what I think about. And it's amazing that we have, I noticed that we have this negative bias where majority of our thoughts are negative and almost 95% repetitive every day. And I'm talking about the cognitive triangle for those of you who have psychology backgrounds. Our thoughts directly impact how we feel, which determine how we behave. And it's really interesting. Every single day, we can use this for people that we interact with at home, in our communities. If we're not seeing positive behavior, then we know that these people aren't feeling well and they're not thinking well. That can spark some empathy in us where we can actually be helpers rather than people that hinder. Because here's the bottom line. We can't always choose what happens to us in the world, and bad things happen to really good people every single day. We read about it in the headlines, and sometimes those people are us. But the truth is, we can choose how we respond in every single interaction, situation, circumstance that we face every single day. We can choose our thoughtful response. And based on what we respond, we're either in control or out of control. We're either reacting or thoughtfully responding, and the outcomes look vastly different. We're either coming from a place of fear or a place of love. And when we realize that it's a choice and when we understand how to make that choice, it is life-changing. And it was life-changing for me. So I'm really sharing with you my pathway from traumatized, grieving mom to becoming a leader of a worldwide movement to choose love, and how I did that, and how we're teaching schools, homes, and communities all around the world to do it. It's simple. It boils down to a simple formula, which I've shared with you, and a simple model. But of course, simple isn't always easy. If we want peace at home, we need to focus on that. And where does it come from? Comes from ourselves. It comes from the inside out. It comes from our effort. And so I'm going to go through a little bit of this with you and actually leave this gift with you that you can take and you can practice for the rest of your life, because you'll never master it. I haven't mastered it yet, even though I'm the Choose Love lady, but you will have the skills, tools, and models. And then if you're interested in our free programming, you can go to our website. But our personal power as humans is in our ability to choose from moment to moment how we thoughtfully respond. And that's our personal power. We see people reacting out of fear every single day, and we see the outcomes of that, but those aren't people that are in control or in their personal power. The people that we see that are thoughtfully responding with love, they are in control. They are in their personal power. But here's the thing, we get triggered every single day over the smallest things. We can have this incredible conversation together today. We can be focusing on peace, and then we can turn around and, our spouse is there and, I don't know, not making the bed, and it can be so annoying to us. And we get triggered. We get triggered for so many different reasons, including our own trauma that we may not even be aware of. We just know that somebody says or does something, and all of a sudden we feel this kind of metaphorical type dukes coming up in our brain, this defensive response, because our brain's number one job is to keep us safe. And so, really, that trigger is a warning signal coming into your brain saying, hey, this is something you've told somebody not to do, or they, that's potentially hurtful to you. And our face is flush, our hair stands up on the back of our neck. This is definitely not peaceful, right? Being triggered. And it happens to us, though, every day. And it can be just a look from somebody that you don't even know that triggers you. And of course, we want to be peacemakers. We want to spread peace. So how do we move beyond this? Now, it's interesting to understand how the brain processes information. It comes in through our five senses, goes through something called the thalamus, a relay station sent up to our prefrontal cortex, our executive functioning center, and our fear center. But here's the thing, our fear center is 4 times faster at processing information. So it can hijack that information and you can react from fear. The brake on our instinctual reactions is located here. We really want to wait to move the information up to here, where our logic and reasoning is, where our understanding of right and wrong, where our ability to choose love as a thoughtful response and become our highest and best version of ourselves. That's what we want. So this happens in a pause in between what's happening and our response. Very necessary. And this, I will introduce our choice moment to you. This is how we become the best version of ourselves. This is how we spread peace at home and in our communities. And you'll be looking at people that can do this and have this understanding, because we're not born with it. We have to learn it. We can model it for our kids and our communities, and the world will be a safer, more peaceful and loving place when we pause in between what's happening and our response. This is where our freedom and power lies, because the fact of the matter is, if we react in anger, we get rewarded from our brain. If we can pause and get curious about what the point of pain of the other person is, if anybody ever approaches you with anything less than a smile, they're coming from pain. And that's when we can pause, move the information to our prefrontal cortex, where logic and reasoning reside, where we can make what we call a heroic choice, because really we're wired to defend. That happens in the trigger point. And we can choose perhaps forgiveness, perhaps compassion. And of course, we've already used courage to pause after that trigger. This is really important. This is what we're teaching kids all over the world. Is this exciting or what? Because this is the world that I want to live in, where we can literally grow through difficulty and not be taken down and take down others by it. And so when, however, and you get a reward when you thoughtfully respond with love, you get a dose of nurturing, healing love. You still get your dopamine, you get oxytocin, the love hormone, serotonin, your body's natural mood stabilizer, and endorphins, which are your body's natural painkillers. So a lasting lift of feeling good. And this is when we're in control. If you're triggered and you react in kind, which is what our brains want us to do, and reward us for that, actually you're handing your power to the other person on a silver platter. And I don't know about you, but I want to maintain control and I want to spread peace. So literally you can ask yourself, who's the boss of me, fear or love? And then the person coming to you and you're interacting with, who's the boss of them, fear or love? And if it's fear, then have empathy for them and thoughtfully respond with love. This is I'm wrapping up here, a personalized license plate that I have. Now, I'm the Choose Love lady. When I got the license plate in the mail, it said chose love. Wah, wah. And I'm thinking, how am I going to make that work? And then somebody said to me, you know what? Just because you chose love yesterday doesn't mean that you're going to do it again today. And you're going to be hit with curveballs and different situations where you're going to have to take out the formula and the model and choose love again. So it's a great reminder that this is an ongoing thing, but so is this effort towards peace and healing in our homes, in our communities, and in our world. So I want to thank you so much for choosing love as a thoughtful response and for spreading peace in our homes and communities.